tough call, but with effectively just running at one-third capacity, if that, there is absolutely no hope.
The advice at all of London's airports is to check before you travel. There are big queues at St Pancras for the Eurostar. The company expects to run around 75% of services, but only confirmed bookings. Dave Field and his wife Diane from California have come through Heathrow and are now queuing at St Pancras. He's told LBC it's been a nightmare journey.
We struggled. When we went into Heathrow, there really wasn't anyone there on Sunday, and it was an extremely long line. So by that point, I figured there was no way we were going to get on a flight anyway, and made a beeline for the train station.
The Salvation Army has stepped in to hand out tea and coffee at Heathrow and at St Pancras. Well, the severe weather's also affecting roads and train services, both locally and nationally. A comprehensive travel and weather update is on the way. In other news, firefighters have been called to a fire at the O2 this morning. LBC understands a tour bus is alight, which is creating a large plume of smoke. There are no reports of injuries. We'll bring you more on this as we get it, and you can see the latest pictures on our website, lbc.co.uk. Senior ambulance officers at King's Cross on July the 7th depended on LBC on their vehicle radios to get updates on the attacks across London. On the last day of the July 7th inquests before Christmas, the coroner heard further evidence of communication problems within the London Ambulance Service. Vince Cable has indicated that he could step down from the coalition. The business secretaries told undercover reporters from the Daily Telegraph the situation with the coalition is like fighting a war. But the MP from Twickenham now says he regrets the comments and remains committed to the coalition. Former Labour Olympic Minister Tessa Jowell has told Nick it highlights tensions in the government.
Every time one sees Vince Cable at the dispatch box or in the House of Commons, he looks profoundly uncomfortable, because this is essentially a Conservative government with the Liberal Democrats providing cover for some of the most unpalatable decisions that they're taking.
Steel girders from the World Trade Centre are to be put up in London to mark the 10th anniversary of the September the 11th attacks. They'll appear near Tower Bridge next September if Southwark Council give the go-ahead as expected. In sports, Manchester United are top of the Premier League at Christmas after title rivals Manchester City were beaten 2-1 at home by Everton last night. Both teams finished with 10 men during an ill-tempered game. Carlos Tevez was captain for City, having withdrawn his transfer request and committed his short-term future to the club. The FTSE at 8:45 was at 59.32. That's up 41 points. London's weather, there are ongoing Met Office general warnings about icy roads and warnings of snow in the southeast, especially Kent. Last night's snow in London has cleared. Temperatures have lifted a little, but there's still likely to be ice. The rest of the day will be dry and mainly cloudy, with a maximum temperature of 2 degrees Celsius in London, 1 degrees elsewhere. That's the temperature right now at Big Ben. This is LBC, it's 9:04.
Hello, Maureen 118212. Yes, I need the number of the sleigh repairer in Leeds. Thank you. Help is on the way, Rudolph.
If you need a number this Christmas, Maureen 118212 will find it for you and send you an inclusive text. She's cheaper than the blokes with moustaches.
Maureen? Oh, she gives you more.
Calls cost 35p a minute plus 85p from a BT landline. Mobiles may be more. Price comparison based on a BT call.
In the LBC 97.3 Travel Centre, I'm Matt Jones. We'll start off on the trains because we're just getting word of a problem from East Coast trains. They are currently suspended between London King's Cross and Peterborough owing to a line problem at Huntingdon. So no East Coast trains at the moment between London King's Cross and Peterborough. All trains to and from Scotland, the East Midlands and North East England are starting and terminating at Peterborough. If you're heading maybe to the North East of England or to Scotland for the Christmas break, then you're going to have some trouble today because East Coast trains have been suspended to Peterborough. There's plenty of other problems on mainline train services this morning. Most operators into London are operating a reduced or a revised timetable. Those include London Midland, Heathrow Express, National Express, East Anglia, all running a reduced service in some capacity. Gatwick Express and Southern saying they're subject to slight delays because of the poor weather. And there's also a reduced service running on Stansted Express today. One train every half an hour between London Liverpool Street and Stansted Airport, calling at Tottenham Hale, Harlow Town and at Bishop Stortford. On the situation on the airports, little changing really. Heathrow Airport still have just one of their 2 runways open, so that means they're expecting to operate only a third of flights today. Their advice is not to travel to the airport unless your flight has been specifically confirmed as operating. For a full list of those flights that are operating today, you can visit their website, www.heathrowAirport.com. Other London airports, Gatwick, London City, Stansted and Luton, all open again. However, they are warning of delays and cancellations as well. You're advised to check with them before setting out. Eurostar advising passengers to check eurostar.com for the latest advice. However, there's still a long queue of people trying to get into St Pancras Station, which is backing up along the Euston Road. On the roads, plenty of burst water mains in town, just a couple of those to look out for. In Camden, Royal College Street is closed northbound with a burst water main at Camden Road, and in Surrey, the A245 Byfleet Road in Byfleet is closed between Booklands Road and Seven Hills Road. Again, that's because of another burst water main. On the tubes this morning, Metropolitan line still running with minor delays after a signal failure at Northwood Hills, and there are minor delays on the Wimbledon branch of the District line after a signal failure at Earls Court. LBC 97.3 travel, your next update in 15 minutes.
LBC 97.3. Call 0845 6060973. Text 84850. Have your say on London's biggest conversation with Nick Ferrari at breakfast.
Just before we start our next conversation, I should say quite a few of you emailed saying you're Lib Dem and you're proud. That was my challenge. You've just joined the programme. That was my challenge to you towards the back end of the previous hour, in the light of Vince Cable, how he's been secretly recorded by one of the newspapers saying he could go nuclear. It's like going to war. I'll try and read some of those emails. None of you actually came on the phone, but you have emailed or texted or tweeted or faxed or whatever it might be. I'll try and get to some of those. But to our next conversation, what price honour the Harry Potter star who, it is alleged, was threatened with death by her family because the girl is a Muslim and she was dating a Hindu man. This was all put before a court, Manchester Crown Court. The Harry Potter star is Afshan Azad. She's 22. She played the role of Padma Patil, and she was attacked and branded, and I only used this word once, my apologies, but it was heard as a slag when Muslim relatives found out about her Hindu boyfriend. The actress was so scared she jumped out of her bedroom window and later fled Manchester. Police were called to the family home, and her father, Abdul Azad, 54, and brother Ashraf, 28, were arrested and charged with making threats to kill her. The actress's brother was also charged with assault. However, Miss Azad, the actress, refused to testify, yesterday failed to turn up at their trial at Manchester Crown Court, and instead Crown prosecutors decided to accept a guilty plea to assault by her brother, while both men were formally found not guilty of making threats to kill. Her father accepted to be bound over to the sum of £500 for 12 months. And it was heard in the court that her brother woke her father by shouting, "Sort out your daughter, she's a slag, just kill her." Reading from the victim's statement, I remind you the actress chose not to attend court. "My father began saying he would do it, a reference to kill her, as he did not want his sons to have blood on their hands." Miss Azad called the police, but made it clear she did not want to take further action. She gave a statement saying she didn't want to bring more problems for the family. She has, it is reported, not seen the family since. This is all because of marrying out, as it's called. Now, for many of you listening, it's an extraordinary set of circumstances. That if you, as, let's say, a Christian, was to fall in, let's use this example. If you, perhaps, as an Anglican, were to fall in love and marry a Catholic, there really wouldn't be that many problems. But there are some faiths, such as here, the faith of Islam, and indeed the Jewish faith as well, where it's a very different story. Jan Shur is a journalist from the Jewish Chronicle, website creator, comes in and reviews the papers with us on some occasions. We'll get Jan in just a second, I'm sorry, that line's gone. So let's talk first instead. Ajmal Masroor is a London imam and author of 10 Things You Should Know About Marriage. Why does this become, for some people, a matter of honour?
Good morning, Nick.
Morning, sir.
It is unfortunate that people become so fixated or emotionally embroiled when it comes to marriage. And it's not a culture-specific or religion-specific issue. I think it's not that long ago we had the same problem in Northern Ireland. If you were Catholic and Protestant, and the fight went as deep as even in marriage. So within certain countries, when people extend their personal anger and vengeance and then embroil faith and their children and think it's the honorable thing to do, and that is to threaten or meet violence or even kill people. I think it's the most dishonorable thing one can do, and it's most despicable. I'm surprised that the father and the two sons have got away without more severe penalty and punishment. I would have preferred them to have been locked up for longer periods, and more severe punishment to have been given to them so that nobody ever dares to do that or things like that.
But I have to say, while I take on board what you say about Northern Ireland, I don't ever recall stories of a father and his sons being put through the courts because he threatened to kill the daughter.
I agree entirely.
So why is it more extreme? It would appear to be more extreme in the faith of Islam.
It's not in the faith of Islam. It's in the countries where some of the cultural elements play a very...
But this is because the girl was dating a Hindu.
That's exactly the point.
So it's not because she was, I don't know, Indian and the lad was from Pakistan.
I think that's probably the problem. The problem is the girl may be of that particular background. You see, Pakistan and India have had animosities that date back for centuries, and any small elements to bring that up can cause even further complications. And in a marriage, it's just, I think, a very a bad recipe for a potential problem within the families at the best of times. But I don't think we should ever...
Why this backward thinking, Imam?
I agree entirely. And how do we change them? Is by challenging their ideas, attitudes, and telling them the war between Pakistan and India happened 50 years ago. Move on, guys. Wake up and smell the fun.
But the brother who seems to be, if we take the court evidence, seems to be the prime mover, he's only 28. He's a young man.
I know, and this is very sad, isn't it? That people and parents are so sad that they actually pass on hatred from one generation to another by narrating stories of hate. And we must end that, otherwise we can't live in this world. Look, Islam is very clear about it. Anyone taking any life is like taking